go. If the beat hits, I'm ready to go.
Varsity 4 Best of 2025 is brought to you by Farah and Farah.
Welcome to the Varsity 4 Best of 2025 special. Tonight we have expanded our high school sports show. Over the next 30 minutes, Justin, Barney, and I will recap and celebrate the accomplishments of our local high school teams across Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. And we will be highlighting every single sport.
Yeah, unbelievable season to talk about. You know, this is from January 1st, 2025 until right now, and it has been a remarkable year for athletes and teams from the area. Just a great season. And
we will start with the Reigns Vikings. We'll be celebrating who just won their state championship. The Vikings beat Miami Northwestern in a rematch of last year's state title game. And this game came down to the final seconds, literally. With 10 seconds remaining in the game, TJ Cole's pass to Darius Washington was the game-winning touchdown, a moment the Vikings players, coaches, and fans will remember forever.
Yeah, just an unbelievable game. And Reigns talked about this all year long, the revenge tour. It started last year with a 41-0 loss. They came back and they made adjustments. They got in the lab. They went to work. And you know what happened? They made redemption. Unbelievable game, unbelievable finish. 14-0, perfect season for the Reigns Vikings and head coach Donovan Maslin.
And looking at the Reigns football state championship history, this is the 4th state title in program history. Head coach Donovan Maslin joins all-time great head coaches Welton Coffey, who won the program's first title in 1997, and Duran Wiley, who won back-to-back titles in 2017 and 2018.
Yeah, and Duran Wiley and Donovan Maslin, both Reigns alums, so it means a little bit more to those guys. They played at the program. They coached at the program under some head coaches before they got their first head coaching job with the Vikings, and it just means more, right? It's the saying the SEC, it just means more at Reigns when you're an alum doing that. Of course, Welton Coffey, you cannot forget him. The great one in 1997, 15-0 season, stands as one of the few 15-0 perfect seasons, and this year just a remarkable year, and it joins those great men from those Reigns championship teams.
Well, 17 weeks ago, News4JAX sought out to chronicle the stories of the Reigns Vikings. Each week throughout the season, we brought you player profiles and behind-the-scenes looks at the Vikings as they geared up for their state championship run.
News4JAX reporter Chris Will and photojournalist Elijah Morris have been along for the entire ride, and they bring us the final chapter of the Vikings' perfect season right here.
Revenge. It's not a word whispered, but a promise shouted months before the clock hit zero. The Vikings named the season the Revenge Tour, a mission, not a slogan. Every hit, every sprint, every film session pointed to one destination, a December night in Miami.
How bad do you want to be a champion?
Chance to redeem a loss from a year ago. The same opponent, the same stakes, the same stadium. The final chapter of the Reigns Vikings Revenge Tour.
You know, last year, you know, they felt like failures, and but failure, you know, it taught us a lot. It shaped us for who we were this year.
Losing in that type of stage. So after that, we were set the revenge tour. We're going to get revenge. We're going to be back, and we're going to finish the mission this time.
But that moment started right here in the graveyard.
Cherish this moment, man. Hey, let's go. Viking 503, Viking 503, 1, 2, 3.
A whole 365 days of work in preparation for the championship moment.
Everything was worth it. From the coaches yelling at us, from us having to do punishment, from us rolling, team fights, everything. Everything was worth it because it got us to where we are today.
It got the Vikings to an undefeated season. Heading into the title game, 13 opponents had tried, all had failed. The only team left, their only loss from a year ago.
You know, that is the true testament of how they're built. You know, strong determination, will not be denied, and that's what we talked about all playoffs. Not being denied your opportunity to punch your ticket to the next round, and not being denied your opportunity to be a state champion.
And it took every bit of determination the Vikings had, and with just seconds left, glory for Duval.
It felt everything, the whole drive felt in slow motion because we know the time is running down, but nerves everywhere, emotions everywhere, so that it just felt so slow. The second shot, it don't fail. So we got our second shot in the same stage, and we didn't fail this time.
There's gonna be some tough bumps and bruises here and there, but that just makes the end result that much sweeter. Just continue to never give up and continue to press forward.
For Reigns, revenge was never just about payback. It was about proving who they are and setting a new standard for everyone who puts on the uniform next.
It means Ichiban. It means being number one in everything that we do, whether it's in sports, whether it's in academics, whether it's, in the professional world. We always attack being, Ichiban. And, when you have that never say die mentality, nothing can be taken away from you.
The Vikings, the tour ends with a trophy, but the standard they set, Ichiban #1 in everything, is where the next chapter begins. Chris Will, Channel 4, the local station.
And the celebrations are not over just yet for the Reigns Vikings and their state football championship. Friday night on News4JAX, we're excited to bring you Varsity for the Perfect Season. The half-hour special takes a look at the Vikings' fight for the 3A state championship from their devastating loss against Miami Northwestern last year to this year's victory. We will have players live in studio, plus reaction from you, the fans. You can watch Friday night at 10:30 p.m.
Yeah, what a great season for those Reigns Vikings. Now, Reigns wasn't the only one. The Bulldogs, they played in their unbelievable, God knows how many state championship game, but for the first time in years. And unfortunately, the Bulldogs had no answer for Sarasota's Cardinal Mooney in the 2A state championship game last week.
The Bulldogs, like I said, had no answers for the Cougars. Running back Xander Edwards, who had been running through teams all season, was absolutely shut down.
Yeah, just not something we've seen at all. It usually looked like what Bulls did to other teams throughout the season. And Cardinal Mooney, eight drives for the game, 8 touchdowns. They only went to 4th down 1 time in that game, but Bulls made a good showing of it. Naeem Burrows had a great final game as a Bulldog, 3 touchdown catches. You see him right there. And Bulls gave it a go on offense, but they just didn't have the defense to shut down the Cougars. A great season for Bulls. They finished 13-2.
And after the game, Justin and I spoke to head coach Matt Toblin and linebacker Simeon Caldwell, who were, of course, emotional, but also sentimental on what this senior class meant to the Bulldogs program.
So proud of this senior group, and I think that's why this one's so hard, is those guys have been, like we've talked about, have been a part of wins for so long. And so I'm really, I'm sad because it's over. Even if we won, I'd be really sad to say bye to Naeem and Corbin and Tim and JJ and these seniors, Thomas Green, and the guys that have been here for so long. They've meant so much to me as a person, and so it's going to be really hard. And obviously we didn't play as well as we wanted to play tonight, and that's a really good football team, and if you don't play your best, that's going to happen.
In hindsight, it sucks. Obviously we want to be on the other end of this. Obviously we were so close, and being so close makes it hurt even more, but I can't be more proud of this team. I love them to death, and it was a really special group. I'm so glad that God put me at Bulls and to be able to be around them. They've really impacted my life. The coaches, the players, and even just the staff at school, even the teachers and everything, they really impacted my life.
The Bulldogs football state championship history runs deep. The Bulldogs' 11 state championships are the second most in state history behind St. Thomas Aquinas, who has 16. And specifically under head coach Matt Toblin, he is still searching for his first state title, but has led his team to the state championship 3 times. Yeah, really good tradition at Bulls. When you talk about football, for a long time, they were the #1 team in state history with those 11 state championships. Of course, Aquinas, which just won this year as well, its 7th straight state championship. They have gotten hot in past Bulls, but between Corky Rogers and Wayne Belger, now Matt Toblin, this tradition at Bulls runs strong, and you better believe with guys like Asher Gitto and Xander Edwards, this team will be back next year. And finally, we have to shout out our flag football player of the year, Fletcher's Jasmine Cross. Yeah, really good season for Jasmine, and a tough call on this one to make her the player of the year over Anasia Griffin from Bradford. But really good 4-year player for the Senators. Led Fletcher really to heights it had not achieved before in its program history. Was a regional finalist last year in 2024 and second round of the playoffs this season. Really a 2-way superstar for that Senators team, and looking forward to seeing what she does in college. And we still have a lot more to talk about on the Varsity for Best of 2025 special. Coming up, the Bulls Bulldog swim team is one of the best in the world. And Justin, you got to sit down with their record-setting relay team. That story and more when Varsity 4 returns. The Bulls boys swim relay team set a national record to headline their 38th consecutive team state title. The previous record they broke, who was it set by? Yeah, the national one they broke this year, and then was set by a team from Illinois.
The big one that they're talking about here was set by a bowls team back in 2012, which has a remarkable, just an unbelievable storyline for that. So got a chance to catch up with these 4 swimmers this week at bowls with the 200 medley relay team, and they've taken their place in history and know what it means to be a bowl swimmer.
They're fast. In fact, there's never been a faster boys 200 medley relay team in the country than this one right here. Chris Jane, Lucas Young, George DeVelos, and Liam Carrington vanquished a state record that was set by Bulldog swimmers 13 years ago by nearly 2 seconds. This group also made the national mark in the process. And now, these 4 bowl seniors who say they're more like family than teammates are passing the torch to the next generation and leaving a huge legacy behind.
Yards of backstroke, followed by 50 yards of breaststroke, 50 yards of butterfly, and 50 yards of freestyle.
2 months after their history-making swim at the Class 1A state meet, those 4 sat down to remember that moment. What it took to get there, and the sheer joy of making history together.
That actually set a new state record. The previous one was 128.02, set by a Jacksonville Bulls group back in 2012.
Just kind of unreal because we were not expecting it to begin with, and I didn't realize we did get it. And it was after like a minute or two that my teammates told me that we had, so it was just kind of surreal.
When Liam Carrington touched the wall at 1 minute, 26.67 seconds at the state meet, it set a national record in the 200 medley relay, breaking the American high school mark set earlier this year by Hinsdale Central of Illinois by 8/100ths of a second. What it also snapped was a state record set in 2012 by a bowls relay team that may be perhaps the best ever. That relay team included Ryan Murphy, Joseph Schooling, Santo Condarelli, and Josh Booth. They clocked a 128.02 at the state championships. 3 of those athletes, Murphy, Schooling, and Condarelli, combined to win 11 Olympic medals.
A little earlier before the legends.
Their final race didn't seem like one where a national record would fall. Having the athletes watch and talk about that swim is a step back into history.
Kind of had a rough start. My hands opened up at the start, so I kind of panicked, but I knew I had to just crank underwaters.
So once I see Chris flip, boom, I know he has a really big lead, and that gave me a big confidence boost also. And then I was just like, let me try to make this lead as big as I can do and keep it my team go.
The only thing I saw was Christian's split, so I knew we were off to a really good start. Liam ended us off with a great swim. Been had my head down, didn't breathe, just really happy with the execution of that swim. Pretty special moment. Can't lie.
The bowl swimming program is the country's most successful unit. Jane, DeVelos, Young, and Carrington all moved to the area to compete for bowls. Together, they helped the Bulldogs stretch their state title streak to 38 straight years.
High level of athletics and people around us. Having 3 gold medalists on a 4-person relay it says everything you need to know about this program.
So knowing that we could be the guys that broke that record and kind of took their spot on that record board is something I'll always remember. It's just going to be something I always tell my kids.
Taking what they've done and bettering their standard and doing what we've done, I think I have a sense of pride, for what we've done, and I'm just thankful to do it with these group of guys,
The Bulls boys and girls were not the only successful state championship teams this year. The Ponte Vedra girls and Nice boys continued their swimming dominance, both winning state championships.
Yeah, really good seasons there. And, Ponte Vedra, we talk about bowls, swimming dynasties, but Nice and Ponte Vedra, the boys and girls teams there, really starting to build something of their own. Not dynasty status yet, but they are certainly on the ascent to get to that way.
Okay, well, to the pitch where there was equally as much success. We had 3 high school girls soccer state championship teams. The Ponte Vedra Sharks were back-to-back champions and won their 5th state title in program history.
Yeah, and when you talk about girls soccer in our area, we just talked about swimming, the dominance of bowls. Girls soccer is right next to football, I think, in terms of those team sports that are just untouchable here in our area. Pontbriand under Dave Silverberg, who is a Hall of Fame legend, is up there. I mean, the school's not even been open that long. I believe it opened in 2009 was their first season, and they have won championship after championship after championship. It starts with those good players, and you're watching Lulu Konsunji right there with that nice kick, and it was just a remarkable game. I was at this game, shot this game, and those Pontbriand girls are something to watch. Probably get a state championship this year as well.
Well, the Bartram Trail Bears will remember their state championship forever. Allie Fletcher kicked the game-winning goal with only 19 seconds left in the game. The Bears, they also had our Varsity 4 Player of the Year, Brooke Gossie, who was also a major contributor this past season.
Yeah, this game, too, I was at, and again, you got to have goosebumps watching these highlights because Bartram Trail in double overtime, really almost a sudden death with how it came about because there were 19 seconds left to go in this game. And Bartram Trail won in a game. Here's the winner right here. They won in a game they didn't play the best, and they came back and won a state championship. Great season and great finish there for head coach Jen Rodriguez and the Bears.
And finally, our third and final state champion was the St. John's Country Day girls soccer team. The Spartans won their 15th title in program history.
Yeah, we talk about Pontbriand and Bartram being those rising dynasties. Well, St. John's Country Day is at the top of the list. Truly a dynasty. We talk about bowl swimming programs. The St. John's Country Day girls soccer program is right there behind those bowl swimming programs. An absolute dynasty under Mike Pickett. He was named the coach of the year by Max Preps a couple years ago, and easy to see why. It doesn't matter the year, doesn't matter the players. He has got a true program over there. Really cool to see that team every year make it down to that championship game.
Well, to boys soccer, we had two teams advance to the state championship and conclude the season as the state runners-up. Mandarin lost to Mitchell. The Mustangs produced our Varsity 4 Player of the Year, Amir Trito, and St. Joseph lost in overtime to Pine.
Really good games from both those guys. I was at that Mandarin game, and really kind of flukish how they lost. They gave up a goal in the first minute of that game and then held them scoreless the rest of the way. Really probably could have won that game, but Mitchell gets it, and I think Mandarin has a good chance to get back there. And, of course, St. Joseph, they got a little program down there in St. Augustine. They had a chance to win that game, too, but getting down that far, great season for those two boys' teams.
Okay, to the Diamond, we have a few really good high school baseball teams in our area, and one local pitcher on Trinity Christian was so impressive in high school, his dreams of becoming a professional athlete has already come true. Conqueror's Aaron Watson was drafted by the Reds in the second round of the MLB draft this past summer.
And Aaron, a fun guy to talk to and chat with, and just really just watch his production. You look at Aaron as a junior, and he was not really on the map of any kind of pro team, anything like that. And then he just had an absolute leap in the offseason from his junior to senior year, became mentioned as a first-round draft pick, led his team to the state championship game, and how cool to be drafted in front of your friends and family and celebrate with them. His pro career has already started. Want to see how Aaron does at the major league level.
And his final high school game was the state championship, and unfortunately, Trinity's efforts came up short, losing to Orlando's The First Academy. This was the Conqueror's third title game in program history.
Yeah, and this is Aaron Watson dealing in the semifinals. They won it 1-0 game against Berkeley Prep. Unbelievable performance by Aaron in that game to get to that First Academy matchup. Unfortunately, First Academy just a little too much. But I think Trinity Christian and John Murphy, Brady Harris over there still left. I think they've got a good chance to get right back down there.
Another phenomenal high school baseball program, St. John's Country Day, also lost to the state championship to Canterbury, denying their chance to win back-to-back titles. Spartans pitcher Braden Harris was our Varsity 4 Player of the Year.
Yeah, and Braden is a guy who has a chance to come back and do it again. And, you know, St. John's Country Day, really, really good team. Tom Lucas right there, again, when you talk about the coaches and the dynasties and what they're building, Mike Pickett at St. John's Country Day, Tom Lucas has got that infrastructure in place at St. John's where those players, they keep coming and they continue to have these late season playoff runs. Trinity Christian, like I said, I think has a chance to get back there, and St. John's Country Day certainly has a chance to get back there as well. Braden Harris on the short list for our Player of the Year once again in 2026.
To softball accolades, Matanzas' Leah Stevens was our Varsity 4 Player of the Year. She led the Pirates to a 23-2 record, the best showing in program history.
Yeah, Leah Stevens, our Player of the Year, and she was dynamic to watch. Unbelievable strikeout machine, and led the Pirates to a regional final. You know, and I talked to her about being the Player of the Year, and, you know, playing in a small to high school county in Flagler County. She said if you're talented enough, they will find you. Now Leah is at the University of Florida. Looking forward to watching her pitch in Gainesville.
To the hardwood, 6 local teams competed in the Final Four, but only Ponte Vedra advanced to the state championship. Unfortunately, the Sharks came up short in the state championship game, but their state semifinal game was one to remember, a triple overtime win over Leesburg.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, you talk about how tough things get there. You know, playing down in Lakeland, people don't realize how tough it is to play in that arena. It's got depth behind the rims. It's not like a high school gym. And for Ponte Vedra to come back in that game, battling on an unfamiliar court, and they come back and not one, not two, but 3 overtimes to win that game. Trace Westerkamp, David Sanchez-Burr, all those guys getting it done. Ryan Spees gets it done against Leesburg, and what a really, just a great season for them. And they building a program that is sustainable, that continues to win and get down there. No, by the way, it's not Lakeland anymore. Those state championships will be held in Jacksonville this year. So if Ponte Vedra gets back, they're going to be dancing right here on their home floor in their backyard.
We had 2 girls basketball teams compete in the state championship, starting with Bulls, who advanced to their first title game in program history. Bulls had never been past the regional round before this season.
And the thing with Bulls, you go into a game, the Bulls gym, you see all the history on the walls in that Bulls gym. The boys basketball team has multiple championships. We talked about football at the start of the show, and also swimming. Bulls girls basketball, their banner is very, very bare, and that was until last year. Great player over there. Abby Knopf led them down there, and they've got a really good team this year. Just moved up to number 1 in our Super 6 rankings. Kelly Stevenson and the company over there doing really, really good. They have a chance to get right back down to that Final Four.
And history was also made for the NFEI Fighting Eagles. The team also played in their first ever state championship game.
Yeah, NFEI, again, not a program that's been around a long time, but head coaches are the coaches over there. Antoinette Bannister, very well-known name in our area, and her father, Tony Bannister, on the bench over there helping the Fighting Eagles get down there, and they are such good coaches. Antoinette was an unbelievable player in her day, and her dad is one of the best coaches around, and I think NFEI, you know, you look at their schedule early in the season and say, oh, they've got some losses, but they play a tough schedule. They have got the arsenal to get right back down to that Final Four.
After this break, we wrap up our Varsity 4 Best of 2025 special. Coming up is St. Johns County High School girls tennis team who made history earlier this season. That story and more next when Varsity 4 returns. The Nice Panthers girls tennis team made history this year. It started with the team winning their second state championship in program history. And just 1 day later, Kylie Coaches, our Varsity 4 Player of the Year, capped a perfect season, becoming the first player to win singles and doubles titles.
And we've had some really, really good girls tennis players over the years, especially at Nice. Sierra Posky has been a good one, and she won back in the day. But it has been a long, long time since we've had these kind of state champions. And Kylie not only won the single overall championship, which is hard enough in itself to do, but also the doubles championship as well. So really, really good career for Kylie. She's our 2-time Varsity 4 Girls Tennis Player of the Year. So great season for her and all those players, the Nice Panthers tennis team.
And the Ponte Vedra boys lacrosse team, they stunned powerhouse Lake Mary in overtime to reach the state championship, though they came up just short of the title.
Yeah, and kind of like we talked about the Ponte Vedra boys basketball team, well, this state semifinal game, unbelievable finish. And as we watch it right here, in overtime, sudden death, golden goal right there. Mason Houseman puts it in the net, and that sends Ponte Vedra on. We have had some really, really good playoff finishes this year. That is one of them right there.
To the track, the Mandarin boys team finished as the state runner-up, but they weren't the only ones from Northeast Florida to medal. We had 16 event state champions, as you can see on your screen.
So many good. You know, we talk about all these other sports, and track is kind of at the very tail end of the season. And man, we've got a lot of good athletes in there. Hurdlers and relay teams and long jumpers. We have a lot of good athletes. And of course, Mandarin was the headliner of that list last year, led by Jalen Lewis, of course.
And in cross country, quite a few teams earned state championship titles for their efforts. Here are the 5 teams who brought home trophies.
Yeah, and these are teams, you know, these are teams, again, who have been historically pretty good. Bowles, Creekside, Bishop Kenny, and Providence had that nice double this year as well. But we've had runners of the year from all of these schools here in the last few years, and got some good chances to be that again this year.
And finally, as we wrap up, the Harvest Community Volleyball team made it to the state semifinals. They were the only team who advanced that far in the playoffs, so congratulations to the Warriors. And Justin, I have to ask as we wrap up, what was your favorite moment from this year?
Man, there are so many. You look at that Pontbriand lacrosse match where you scored the golden goal, the Bartram Trail girls soccer game, to the overtime winner for a state championship. I mean, so many good things. Lacrosse, swimming, bowls swimming records. But man, you got to say, the Reigns Vikings football team. I mean, we don't win a ton of state championships in football here. The script couldn't have written itself any better. You go back to the scene of the crime where you got waxed last year, 41-0. Same opponent, same stadium, same time, everything, and you win on their home field. How's that for putting a bow on the 2025 season?
Well, congratulations to every team on their accomplishments. Thank you for watching the Varsity 4 Best of 2025 special. Happy holidays and good night.